Today we'll teach you how to create a beautiful, professional and Hollywood looking chroma key. And what you see around me is not real. Hello everybody, welcome back to this tutorial on how to create a beautiful looking chroma key production. I am Jaime from EMC and today we're gonna learn 3 important things. First, how to plan out everything before the shooting session. Second, how to set up everything on studio, camera, lighting, green screen, everything. And last but not least, we're gonna learn how to edit the footage and put it together with the background, how to composite everything, and I will teach you some tricks to make it totally right. If you are still interested, let's get into this.
Alright guys, I put together a presentation for you. I promise it's gonna be really quick before we take action into the production. So this is actually our action plan. So let me talk about this real quick. So we have here this image that actually you probably recognize. Is the one that I've used in the intro video. And analyzing how the light works here, we have this window that is gonna work as a key light, because the brightest part of these elements over here, every object is on this side, and the darkest side is in the opposite way, so to the right side. So our main light is probably this one. Then we have the fill light, which is probably a light bulb or some other artificial light behind the camera. And over here we have this wall that is probably bouncing off some light that fill out some shadows over here. So it's important to have this into our plans. Talking about our plans, I put together this drawing. So it represents the light on the image here, and the subject that we are gonna record, which is gonna be myself. And the key light, you can have either artificial source of light, or if you find a window that can provide this enough light for your shooting, it will be enough. Also, we have this fill light, which is like 45 degrees to the left of the subject. And the camera is going to be here. We're going to talk about that in a second. And also the bounced light, if you have an element that can bounce off this light coming from the left, it would be a good idea to have an element that can do that. So let's see how it works in real life. This is the camera. It is a little bit low because the reference or the background image makes us understand that it was the position of the camera that this image was taken. And I have here 2 lights pointing towards where I was seated, so that's there over there. Also a bouncer, so the light reflects a little bit to my face and to my body, so it won't be that dark. And yeah, the chroma key fabric and 1 light that is actually making look more even the colors or the shadows, is removing that much of shadows of wrinkles and so on. So yeah, and that's the microphone for better sound. That's it. This is the setup for the chroma key project. So I found this place in my apartment, which is the living room, with a nice source of natural light, which is this window over here. And also it has these curtains that act as diffusers. Then we have this fill light situated in the same position as we have in the plan. The camera is right here. We will talk about it in a second. And finally, we have a bouncer, an element actually that bounces the light of the window from the right side to the left. So this is the bouncer over here, and that completes the light setup. Now let's talk about the camera, and you might wonder why the camera is that low. So to answer that, let's get back to the background image, but this time with some elements that will help us out understanding the perspective of the image. And why understanding that is important. It's very important because you need to compound the background with the footage you're gonna take. So if any of those have a different perspective, your composition would look weird or not natural. So that's why it's important to understand that. So one quick tip is to find an object that you cannot see either the top or the bottom. For example, this desk over here. And that would be the height where you should place the camera. So that's why I place the camera at the level of this table on the left side. Like that, you will recreate the angle of the camera that took this picture over here. And finally, before editing our footage, let's talk about some camera settings to keep in mind when shooting a green screen production. First of all, let's keep your ISO as low as possible. This will avoid grainy and noisy footage. Your shutter speed should be above 150. This will avoid motion blur, and use a flat color profile so it will be easy for you to color grade. And as always, keep your exposure balanced. That's it. Let's go to edit our footage. Alright guys, we are now in Premiere Pro and we have our footage ready to be color corrected. And let's talk a little bit about the footage right here. So you may wonder why I am using this footage that looks so bad. It looks like under-saturated, underexposed, and why it looks like that and I'm not using another thing. So the quick answer for that is that I am using a color profile on my camera that is S-Log2. It's a Sony camera, so I am using that color profile, which is actually a flat color profile. It's called like that. And but this step is not necessarily a step that you need to follow. However, I will highly recommend to create your footage on a flat color profile so you will have more information to play with. So why is that important? Because the idea is to match your footage with an image that you found on the internet or from someone else. And the idea is to just match the colors. And with more information on the colors of the colors in your footage, you will be more able to match everything up in the final stage. So let's continue with the color correction part. Let's click on this tab. Now we will see that I have here two scopes. The waveform and the vector scope. I find it very important to have the waveform here because it's very important to keep track of what you're doing in terms of light. So right here, it gives us some useful information that is clearly underexposed, is under the 60 mark. And the idea is to spread all the information from the 0 level till the 100 mark. So spreading that out will give us a better result in colors and in light. So, and also we have the vector scope, and this is just to keep track of what I am doing with the colors. So waveform is more about light and vector scope is more about colors. So let's continue and let's start with moving some curves. So we will just like spread that information all over the scope. Let's bring that up and let's make sure that we are not clipping anything over here. So if you overpass the 100 mark, you will start noticing that over here you will start like clipping out some whites. And also the same happens with the 0 level, because if you go under that, you will start like crushing very badly your blacks. Let's just see how it works. So if you just like go under it, you will see just like start losing a lot of information. So every shadow is just losing, and you cannot recover that afterwards. Now let's get back to where we were, and let's just add a little bit more of contrast. Let's just lift a little bit this midtones. Let's go back to basic correction. Let's add a little bit of saturation, so we'll have more vibrance in colors. Also, let's add a little bit more of temperature. It looks a little bit like cold, but my skin is not as cold as it is in the image. Also, let's add a little bit of redness or magenta to the image, so we'll have more natural skin tones. And also let's play with the shadows, so we'll recover more information of my hair that is very dark, and some shadows that are disappeared. Also, let's bring those highlights a little bit down to recover more information on the skin. And that is looking pretty good to me. What do you think? Also, let's add a little bit of sharpen. Let's add 50 points just to sharpen it out, and a little bit of vibrance just to bring even more the colors of my skin. And also, this is very important, just to make very contrasty the green with the other colors in front of the fabric. Now let's play a little bit with the color wheels. Let's bring those midtones a little bit up. this a little bit up so it won't be that dark on the shadows. And it looks great for me. So it's pretty ready to go and play with it in After Effects. But before that, let's talk about how to export a video ready for Chroma Key. First, let's click on File, then click on Export, Media. And this is very important. So we need to find a format that will keep the most of our information. So something that is not compressing that much our footage. So the one I normally use is QuickTime. It's a little bit heavy, but it's always good. So in this case, we are using Apple ProRes 422, and we will keep the other settings as they are. And also, let's just use this option over here, which is use maximum render quality. It is just like nice to have. And now you decide if you want to export it over here or you want to queue it on Adobe Encoder. But for the sake of this, let's rename our footage that we're going to export. Footage color corrected. Now let's hit on save. Let's play export. All right, so our video is now rendered out and we can continue our process in Adobe After Effects.